Commissioner Buck.
Here.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Here.
Commissioner Cater.
Here.
Quorum present.
As you wish. Please stand for the invocation and the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner.
Dear Lord, thanks for what you've done for us, for all the many blessings that you bestowed upon us, dear Lord. Dear Lord, be with us as we make the best decisions we can for the county going forward. Dear Lord, just continue to be with those in need. There's a lot of them that we have and in our own family here at our annex building. Dear Lord, just continue to bless us. I ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you. Amen.
Take
The
it.
consent agenda's pretty short this morning. It's only the minutes of last week's meeting. So, motion?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Bid opening, how many bids do we have?
Check to make sure we didn't get any more in, but, well, we want to keep Linda and her husband in our prayers. He's up at Barnes, and they did the CAT scan yesterday, and we're waiting for the results.
Yeah.
So she's been
It's
gone
a
for few days.
sad situation there. Okay.
Hopefully that won't be anything.
And we're checking now to see if there's any more bids come in since 10 a.m. or before 10 a.m.
Because that's not where she normally sits, so.
See down there at the bottom, them doors, I think those doors are, I think about 20-something years old.
Well, they're original. so-
Yeah, they're original, that's what they all look like down there. We've already replaced one in the back at the morgue.
Have how many?
Only one.
Yeah.
There's nothing else came in. There's somebody,
Okay.
we thought
We've
one
replaced
might
three.
be coming in
Yeah.
this morning, but it did not.
Welcome to our public administrator-elect.
This is from Ron's Glass Company, and the bid is for $37,800.
For the 8 doors, okay. Okay, this will be taken under advisement, and Brian will.
And there's nobody here wanting to bid.
Okay. Okay, next item, permission to apply for a grant, Mr. Mike?
It's on. It was on. Yeah. Mike Ryan, Lieutenant St. Francis County. Actually, I had 2 grants on the agenda. The RSAT is the Resident Substance Abuse Treatment. Basically, it is able to pay for a position within the detention center. What we're looking at is several surrounding counties, from like St. Louis to Cape Girardeau, or looking for a position, or either have a position in place now called a jail navigator. And a jail navigator basically is like a counselor that will set up, they'll do an assessment for mental health or substance use or homeless or something of that nature. And while you're incarcerated or a detainee, they will do an assessment with you, and then they'll set up either treatments or programs or get you signed up into something prior to being released. So you're not just released back, you're released with either mental health or substance use or housing or something to get you back into the community, or even work programs. So the RSAT grant pays for the position, the salary, the benefits, equipment, training, travel for training, and things of that nature. So that's what the RSAT grant is. And I know that I do believe Perry County, Cape Girardeau, I think even Franklin, if I'm not mistaken, actually utilize this grant to pay for that position that they currently have.
Mike,
Okay.
go ahead. I think right now, Washington County has this, don't they?
Washington, they may have the RSAT grant.
They
but
have it
Washington
in
County
place, yeah.
uses, they took two positions within their facility and then had them trained for that in their detention center.
And we actually, when they had the Sims meeting, went over this. This is actually from the judge, the judicial aspect, them coming in. This is basically a plus, right?
Correct, yes, it is. What was the Sims meeting 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was 85 people in that. It was a 2-day seminar that we went to, the county commission, myself, and I think there was
Whole
from
bunch of
St. Louis to Cape Girardeau, there was like 85 people, to include all of the PJC mental health, drug court in our county. Trying to put something together so we can help the citizens of this county. And a lot of them have used this grant. It just came available. And I think we have till September 11th to have it completed and submitted.
And I think what the Sims meeting was for is actually, it takes the problems everybody's having and it's a group. Judges, prosecutors, police, local. It was probably one of the best meetings I've been to organize something. And this is the system they're coming up with to actually help from the beginning process,
Yes.
how it starts. And I think we all follow with anything.
And it broke up into several different groups. So those 85 people broke up into different groups. There was one for the detention center and one is the jail navigator that we were talking about trying to put in place. And then the other was the funding. And this would be the RSAT if we're graciously enough to get approved for it.
Okay, this is a continuing long-term program.
We want it to be, yes.
So, how do you do that on a grant? Is that-
We have to apply for it every year. If we don't get the grant, then that's something that the county would have to think about absorbing that fund to keep that in place.
Could this be opioid funding?
It possibly could be, yes, we could use it for that too.
Okay.
I mean, to keep this position, if we don't get the RSAC grant, we can use the opioid funding to pay for that position.
This is a kind of a process from the start we talked about. Where, you know, the first place you notice this is when they're arrested and taken to jail.
Right.
And this is a good start to
Probably the
start
first
that.
diagnosis.
Right, that's the first place, and basically the police are left to deal with it. I mean,
The
you know, they
RSAC
got a
grant-
choice, what do we do here, you know? So,
Well,
I mean,
go ahead.
this is a good system to start on, and if we can use a grant to get it started, and it progresses and works, and the grant goes away, we can use our money to apply to.
Right.
I mean, this would be a great way to start,
Well,
especially when somebody's giving you the money to
This
do a
is
trial. To see
not a
if it
fully
works.
funded grant, but there is a 25% match on this grant, cash or in kind.
Well, that's 1/4, 3/4, we don't have to, it's a
Cash or
plus.
in kind? What is
It's a
in kind?
plus.
That's,
It would be hard to do in kind on this one, basically, because it's money that we would be paying for something else that would be considered for this. It would be hard to do an in kind on
Okay.
this, but,
So figure cash.
yeah.
And what dollar amount are you talking about?
We kind of broke it down and went through it. I'm going to ask for 200,000. And that would be because you can also, with the salary of an individual, all of their benefits and trading,
Travel.
equipment, travel, plus you can also use it to pay for contracts that you would have with an outside agency, as far as like drug treatment and things of that nature. If we wanted to help these individuals and they were not able to pay for treatment or something like that, if we went into a contract with a drug treatment program, we could utilize some of that money off this grant to help pay for that as well.
Okay. Would this tie into the drug court in any way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the jail navigator would get in contact with drug court, and then with their charges, and they'd have to navigate the whole jail navigation, navigate the whole system between being a detainee, BJC, the courts, drug court, rehabilitation, everything.
All right. Any, motion?
make a motion that we give permission for Sheriff's Department to apply for the grant, for the RSAT grant for $200,000 with a 25% matching from the county.
I'll second.
Questions? All in favor of applying for this grant, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Now I think you got another one here.
LVCP is Local Violent Crime Prevention. It's a $25,000 grant. There's no match to the county. Basically, it is for equipment. You can purchase license plate readers, biometric or fingerprint scanners, body worn cameras, it's a big issue. And so basically that's what that is for. We still need more fingerprint scanners. We would utilize it as a mobile license plate reader, so it'd be an in-car license plate reader. Same thing as a flock, but they're not stationary on the highway, they're actually in patrol vehicles. Those license plate readers are also in-car cameras, so they're two in the same on that one. And or we could utilize it for body worn cameras. $25,000 would not be enough to purchase the department body worn cameras for everybody. It only supply a portion of it, which we can still do, but that's going to be up to Sheriff Willock and I'll let Sheriff Price.
I've been kind of looking at like body cams, car cams with the city of Farmington. And the city of Farmington has like the in-car camera and the body camera. And like when you actually turn the lights on, they automatically come on.
Right.
Or if you step out of the car, they work together. If you get out of the car, your camera automatically comes on. Very expensive, but you know, I guess in the future we might have to look at this.
Right.
But they've got a really good system in Farmington on it.
Motion. It's 25,000, no match.
25,000, no match, yes.
I make a motion that we give permission for the Sheriff's Department to apply for the LVCP grant in the amount of $25,000 with no match from the county.
Second.
I'll second that, but this is just a start, because it's gonna cost way more than this. Yeah.
Everything does.
Yeah.
Okay, questions? All in favor of applying for this grant, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks.
Okay, salary schedule for a couple of guys in IT. Come on, snap to it, let's go.
You gotta take notes, and?
So I'm presenting for Nick, he can't be here, he's at training somewhere. But he's asking first, let Brandon Harrington, the initial request was from Brandon to go to IT Tech 1 to IT Tech 3. He's anticipated to have a degree in cybersecurity in May of next year. So what we're gonna request now is to take him to a 2, and then upon his graduation, at that time, then we will take him to a 3.
Okay, the plus 5%, so this new figure includes the 5%. What's
It's
that?
because he's going up a grade
Okay,
in the salary schedule.
Okay.
So it's 5% per grade.
okay. And of course, this is before any COLA kicks in.
Correct. We want it effective the first pay period in September is what he's asking.
Okay. And I think both political parties are talking about an increase in minimum wage. So how will that affect us?
From what I hear, the minimum wage isn't gonna go above our salary schedule for a couple of years. So we should be.
It's
fine.
gonna go up in stages,
Mhm.
and we're ahead of the early stages now.
Correct.
Okay.
And then, the other one, is the IT Tech 1, Jeremy Rusan, and we want to take him to IT Tech 2, but we want that to be effective January 1.
Okay. And I see that although they're going to Tech 2, they're different dollar amounts. How's
They
that?
are. Jeremy's been here a little bit longer than Brandon, so that's the difference there. Jeremy works in the jail with Nick, and he actually has a background in law enforcement. So,
On which side? Just checking.
And one thing I did want to bring up, when, like with the CBiz, and Corey, we've talked, when you compare our local area salaries to like, it's hard to compare us because the next one you compare with when you do is companies out of St. Louis.
right, we're gonna hit that.
And
almost not.
I know they'll probably get, you know, people discuss this, but it's, when you gotta drive St. Louis, go to work, you know, you gotta have a car you can depend on, it costs a lot more money. But, you know, that's why, when you reflect our salary here to up there, with the, you know, the comparison will be, well, they work in St. Louis and they make, it costs a lot more to drive St. Louis. So I literally think that we're very competitive here with what we do pay, considering what you have to, when you do work in St. Louis, it does cost. So, you know, I know we'll probably reflect decisions people to compare that, but, you know, if you, back when I used to drive St. Louis, you know, you can go up there and make a lot more money, but it does cost to drive up there. And I just want people to
Yeah,
understand
we
that.
forget too, that 3 hours of windshield time every
Yeah,
day.
I mean, I think we're very competitive here. And IT is getting to be, you know, a job of the future. We've gotta take care of this because, that's getting to be a pretty competitive and you have to have it. So, I mean, that's just my opinion on it.
So, I'll make a motion if you don't mind, and then we can discuss if we want. I'll make a motion that we go with the schedule pay adjustments to move, Brandon Harrington to a 2, and, his period of pay will start September 1st. And, Rusan, I don't wanna get his last name wrong, sorry, cause he'll get me for this, Rusan on, a Tech 2, starting January 1st.
Okay.
Yes, at the,
You know, I'll second it.
Okay, yes, Rich?
You know, Kerry brings up a great point about salary comparisons, but to me, we're at a liability because we're so close to St. Louis. But I think it's important for us to understand what our salaries are like in other counties of our size, and our rurality, if you can.
Yeah.
Because I think we're really doing very well compared to those counties. But that connection with St. Louis is sometimes seen as a liability. But
Yeah,
I'd rather have the environment down here than handle those drives every day and work for a little less money. It's way less stressful. So I understand Kerry's point.
Yeah.
and you were talking about, comparing us to other Class 1 counties. I mean, sure can't take like a Franklin County and say, you know, however many more people, 170,000 or something like that. So, yeah, you're right, Rich, and then Kerry brings up a great point on that, really. I appreciate it.
One other thing, I think one of these individuals, we're gonna leave, to the head of the department to implement this on some performance, actions too.
Exactly.
We wanna make sure that those are achieved, so it's not an automatic thing,
We are a first-class county, but we're the smallest first-class county in the state. So something to take involved in consideration of. Okay, any other questions? All in favor of adapting to this new schedule, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passed.
Did you take notes on that?
And did Blake show up? Don't see him.
Oh. And he was all excited, he came by his.
Yeah. Okay. John, do you want to give Blake's report?
Not really.
Okay. Well, we have a report from Blake, and apparently he's been arrested or something. So, and he came over yesterday to see what, you know, how to present this. Maybe I scared him off, I don't know.
You wanted to call him and ask if he's.
Nah, that's what
He's-
he's putting on next week.
He was really, came over to see about it, so he must have ran into
Yeah,
something.
we'll table it till
Something
next
big.
week. He's got some kind of delay. Don't know what he's doing, he probably doesn't have anything to do.
Not in jail right now.
Which side of the bars? Okay. All right. Next regular meeting will be right here next week, and items must be in the agenda items. The business correspondence. I got another very nice letter from Bob Turner's family, appreciating that he just loved his work here, and they appreciate the little memorial we have outside for him. Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
contractor will, this is from the state, Chris Crocker, engineer. Our contractor will be closing Route 221 tomorrow morning, August 21st at 10 a.m. The closure is anticipated to last till around October 30th, weather permitting. Contractor will build a temporary gravel access adjacent to 221, allowing access to Henson Road and the residents' homes, both the top of and bottom of Stonewall Hill. So what their go-around is, do you know anything, John? Is that gonna happen?
Yeah, actually, the anticipated detour that we think they're gonna use, that are county maintained roads, we've been working on the last 2 weeks, updating signage, mowing everything back, making sure that, it can handle the additional traffic.
What is that detour?
Buck Mountain, King School.
Okay.
will be the two.
It's a very long detour.
It is, and even though they're newly paved roads with striping on them, they're still not a 24-foot
Yeah.
state highway. So we put some regulatory signs up, try to limit the heavy truck traffic through those,
Yeah.
because they need to be using the state
Good
routes
place.
as the detours. So hopefully with the sheriff's department help and what we've done, we can keep those roads safe.
Thank you for
Pass.
repairing those, that's good.
It's good that we coordinated with going back to school.
Hey, John, one,
Yeah.
while we're on that, and I know I've been getting, calls on D,
Uh-huh.
where, you know, the school busing. Do you have any idea when the bridge, Cedar Run?
As soon as we get steel, we bid the guardrail out and we're just waiting on the supplier to get it to us.
So we're looking at a few weeks here yet.
Possibly. I sent an email out and he said it should be any time.
Okay.
It'll take us about 2 days to install the guardrail.
And
Then the
just the
road is
people,
open.
yeah,
Yeah.
if the people's listening, it's like D, I know they got a pilot car.
They do.
They're having issues, slow down the buses, but in a matter of 3 weeks here, I think we'll have 2 weeks, we'll have this.
We tried to
situated.
schedule Cedar Run to be open before school started. Just unfortunately, we've been waiting on guardrail.
Yeah.
How's your other peak?
So they started our 4th road this morning.
Is that right?
So McCormick Acres is done. Friday, they paved the short piece of Hildebrecht between H Highway and 67. Saturday, they paved Corber between H Highway and the city limits by Engler Park. So today, they are starting Coalmire. Now, they're gonna have to cut that project a little short because another contractor is way behind on the Feezer Road project. So they're gonna have to cut that one short, until the other project's finished. on
That's the
Feezer.
last one they've got before they're done.
They still have Old Eight, Cedar Falls, and Pratt to overlay.
That contract was for September 1,
15.
15.
We would give them about a 3-day extension, is what we're gonna give them, because we added 3 days of work over the original contract to finish McCormick Acres. Since they were in there, we added about 1,100 ton of asphalt. It took them about 3 days to do it. So we will give them a short extension because we had added that work to it.
And they're still on it though, so it should.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be real close to that threshold, weather permitting.
And that,
It looks good the next 2 weeks.
Well, and we've had rain that they wasn't expecting this
We have.
year, yeah.
that last piece of, property on Pratt, right before you get to Hillsboro. You checked in, they're running the big trucks coming out with a big rock, I don't know if you've seen that.
So the only thing that we can do, and
Oh, I know,
and
but when they
Dan
get
knows
on
this
that-
too, the state highway patrol is gonna have to go out there and set up mobile scales to make sure that the trucks aren't exceeding the state recommended axle load rating. Other than that, we can't regulate.
Well, the only thing I'm grateful for, and I hate to say, is that they are a little behind, not behind, they're still on schedule, but
They are.
on that road, because hopefully they'll be done soon.
We've had
They've been
numerous
moving
calls, that
rock
tractor
up.
trailer sits
Yeah.
right on the edge of the road, they load rocks all day, and
I just squeamish every time, that road's
I
not
know,
done yet.
it's narrow, and it's in a bad area where
Yeah.
they're parked.
You gotta be out of rock soon,
Okay.
we're in Missouri. I
Okay,
don't know.
let's hold off departmental reports and such until after Blake.
Well.
Oh, we had you tabled.
I was getting ready to give you a report.
Well,
I offered anybody else one.
No, I don't know about.
Sorry about folks.
They wouldn't hold your bail.
Blake Dudley, the prosecuting attorney. So I asked to give a little report of what we've been doing over there. I haven't given a full report since I actually came into office, been too busy trying to get everything together. I've come to you a few times, and we were always trying to work on how we get some staffing and get that straightened out. Everybody knows we started out, originally under the previous administration, there was 4 assistant prosecutors full-time, 4 part-time assistant prosecutors, and a child support prosecutor. When we walked in, we had a child support prosecutor and 1 assistant prosecutor. So we were down to 2 from about 9. And in working with the commission and HR and the auditor's office, we were able to get our budgets all straightened out and try to get the salary straightened out so we can actually get some people to come down here from St. Louis and the other areas, come into our area.
because that was our goal, is to get them to actually move here. Since then, we've hired 5 lawyers. Those lawyers, about half of them have already moved here. Another couple of them are planning on moving here.
Can I just make one comment, what we were talking about before? It's nice, they enjoy, I mean, do they actually enjoy living here?
Well, the best part is that one of our younger ones, he's a young father. When we hired him, his child was about less than a year old. He just welcomed his 2nd child, and they bought a house up there up Pasan Hall Road. And they're
Good,
remodeling
yeah.
that, and getting moved into that, so they're here to stay. And actually, it seems like we have another one who lives in Jefferson County. She and her family are looking to buy a house. They're kind of waiting for those rates to go down, or make a formal move down here. And then another 1 or 2 of them actually just moved here. So, I mean, really, they really kind of filled in the spot we really kind of missing.
Well, that's great, I'm glad to hear that.
We were always worried about the support staff too. We came in, luckily, all the support staff stayed behind for our next administration. We lost the investigators from the previous administration. We immediately replaced both of them from local officers that we had here, and came to join us from the sheriff's department, and they've done an excellent job actually filling in for what 3 investigators were doing before, 2 are doing now, and what 8 lawyers were doing before, 6 lawyers are doing now. They're doing it on a full-time basis, and they're doing an excellent job of it. I couldn't be more proud of this crew that I put together. And they've got a lot of experience. I mean, the lawyers we have one that has 20-something years of experience, got another one who's got 9 or 10 years of experience, we got another one with 4 years of experience, and then we have the 2 young ones that are just starting out. And they're being trained by the ones who've got more experience, so it's great. In particular, we got our child sex, or our sex prosecutor, which is Sarah Jackson. She's really helped us bring down and get a little bit more control on the child sex crimes.
I see more and more headlines about that kind of crime. Is that because of this?
Well, no, it's not because of this. It's just quite simply, we have a lot of it. The caseload, we can only really estimate based upon the caseload of victim advocates as to the type of cases they're addressing. So there was about 122 cases pending with victims before we took over. It fell a little bit in my first year, a little bit number, but that was also during a time where we were trying to scramble to get charges filed and get new lawyers in. When we got Sarah in, she was able to address all the new charges, and so now it's back up to about 122. But now that she's able to actually work on it, she's fully in place, she's extra cases that she's filing are starting to actually start moving into court. I'm really kind of hoping to bring that standing number down. That's the big thing. These cases are trying to get over faster and quick because you have these young victims, and it's hard in the first place for them to come forward. It's harder as it gets along further down the line, and where they are, the memory becomes a little more difficult to work with. Child sex cases. We did have one 2 weeks ago. We did a trial here, lasted a couple of days. It was probably one of the worst I've seen. We was up with the jury, came back with sentences of 3 life sentences plus another 90 years. So.
And how old was that case, Blake?
That was I believe the investigation concluded in 2021. She was, the victim in that case was remarkable. I'm not claiming any greatness on my part, but the victim held up through everything. We had to work with her, we had to talk to her, because it's really hard to even come forward, much less explain these horrible things happened to her in front of an entire courtroom of people and facing the person who did it to her. So she was, like I said, unbelievable. Pretty much right here. But overall, like I said, we're lucky we kept our staff. We built up our attorneys. We got some experienced lawyers, and they all work well together, and they all seem to want to stay here. So this is just better than I could hope for. They've done well as far as their performance as well. Again, when we came in, the previous administration were going out, so they had 5 months where they were losing their lawyers daily. So they went from all those lawyers they had down to the one at the end, which means we inherited about a 5-month backlog period. I mean, that was just a given. The lawyers were dropping out. There was nobody taking care of the business. Coming into that, so in 2022, the total number of felony and misdemeanor cases filed by our office was 1,523. Trying to get caught up in everything and actually getting to full staff, which took us all of 2023 to get to full staff, we still exceeded the 2022 numbers. So we filed 1,557. The previous year, 1,523. The year before that was only 1,469. So
Only, yeah.
So it's progress. And there's plenty of business out there. It's just a matter of getting it all and addressing it timely. And we're on track for it. Looking at total cases, all the cases, traffic cases, et cetera, we disposed of, we want to take partial credit, but in 2023, the fiscal year was 4,793 cases. In 2022, it was 4,256. So again, some progress in addressing these cases. With respect to your other higher level cases, we have murder cases pending in this county. Since we took office, we've taken and resolved 4 of them. There have been at least 2 pleas of guilty in the past 7 months. Took care of another one before that. Actually, 3 pleas of guilty in the past 7 months. I took care of another one about this time last year, a little bit earlier. And I expect to receive maybe a couple more before the end of the year. Murder charges. We filed about 3 of them in the past year. I expect that I'll be filing at least 1 or 2 more before the end of the year based on my applications I have going on right now. Jury trials. We don't try all the cases, we couldn't. We have a caseload that runs around 3,000 total if you want to look at it. It's not going to be able to do that on a daily basis, having a trial one day after another. Fortunately, only a very small percentage ever can go to trial. Those quite often are the ones that are most difficult. Those are the ones where the defendant goes, well, I have a chance. And so sometimes he's right, does have a chance. But, like I said, we've been pretty much on par statewide with as far as our outcomes. We've tried 6 of them in the past 12 months. Everything again from my child sex case down to a high-speed chase that went through the county, through the ATM robberies that occurred over in Deloge. Those 6 trials, we won 4 of them, comes about 66%. Statewide, I don't really have anything where I can look it up and see a statewide conviction rate, but what you can look at is certain counties. And I looked across some of the counties that we have, and generally our conviction rates for criminal prosecutions runs about 66 to maybe close to 70% tops. So we're on par with as far as our success rate with that goes. The other thing about it all is that we continue to prosecute cases. We don't investigate them. We assist in the investigation. We're available 24 hours a day. So we always have an on-call prosecutor to call. In addition to that, my personal number is available to a good portion of the law enforcement community who calls me, usually more of the supervisors who call me anytime they need to. So I'm on call 24 hours a day, which is fine. It's part of the job. But in addition to prosecuting crimes, the main goal is to try and make sure we can reduce the number of crimes we charge. So when I say I got a higher number of charges this year or a higher number of charges that year, that doesn't mean as much to me as getting the number of cases down. One of the first things I noticed when I came into the office was that our office did not file drug charges until the state lab results came back on some of the cases. Well, as law enforcement knows, it takes about 6, 7 months sometimes to get those labs. And in that 6 or 7 months, the same defendant's getting out and committing more and more offenses with possession charges and committing other offenses that are even probably more violent. One of the first things I said as soon as I realized that what we're doing, I said, look, if I've got enough to make it through a preliminary hearing, a first examination, then I got enough to trial this charge. I have enough if I have the defendant admitting what the drug is, or if I have a little field test that says what it's most likely what it is. In other cases, I won't be able to file a charge until I know for sure what this substance is in order to go forward. So we started filing charges every time we would have an admission of what the drug was, or if we had to test a field test to say what it was. What that does is that means I've got them in the system earlier. So they're now already either on bond, they're subject to drug testing with the pretrial services, and so I believe that cuts down the number of repeat offenses before we even get back our first lab report on the first offense. And I talked to Harold earlier when we discussed it, I talked to Mike, that of course the Sheriff's Department has its new drug testing machine that recently purchased, and we're waiting for the training to be completed on that, so we'll start receiving those reports too.
Yeah.
Once I receive those, that's going to cut down even more of the ones that I have to wait on.
Yeah.
And so that's the forward to, again, reducing the number of crimes that we have because we're already putting them in the system and supervising them a little bit earlier.
Is that what you're calling field test?
The field test, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's as long as it's not sent to the state lab, which is not, the state laboratory report is what I need to prove it in court. The field tests are the tests that are done at the department. Those kits, those machines, that's enough for me to identify what the drug is and be able to proceed with filing the charge.
pending the final result.
pending the final result.
And that 6 to 8 months you're talking about will fall within the time span?
Most of the time it will, sometimes it does not. I've had one or two where it came up where it was set for trial.
Okay.
I was within about a couple of weeks of the trial and I had to dismiss the case. That said, it then goes into my other file which says, when that lab report comes back,
Yeah.
and I'll still be in the statute of limitations, I'll file it again.
Yeah.
So it's not going anywhere, but the majority of the time I'm taking care of a lot of these other cases. I mean, I left one the other day where the arrest was in April. I know I don't have the lab report yet, but I also know the defendants clearly said this is methamphetamines and they knew what it was, we knew what it was. It was good enough for them to plead guilty to. So they processed through the system. I still don't have that lab report, but we have no doubt that it'll come back and be the drug they say it is.
Okay, based on that field test, can you hold that person in custody?
I can have, if I have the field test, then I should be able to hold them in custody because that's a probable cause.
And keep him away from those other violations?
Is, because it's drugs, it's very likely he's going to be released on some sort of bond, either personal or cognizant bond or otherwise. But as a condition of that bond, a lot of times we will be requiring them to report to CGS, which is a private bond supervising agency. They will also make them do drug tests and follow-ups. And so you have a little bit of somebody looking over their shoulder. When they start testing positive, as soon as we can get onto it fast enough, then we can go say, all right, you go back to jail until they decide to let you out again.
Okay.
So it doesn't, if I get a simple possession of drug case, the courts are not gonna keep them in the jail just for that possession case. If we have more than one, more likely they're gonna keep them in there. Or if I have him under supervision and he violates the supervision by continuing to do other crimes or drugs, more likely I can keep him there. So we're acting earlier in order to cut down the opportunities for them to commit more crimes while we're waiting for that lab report to come back.
Okay.
And the other thing we've also done, which was, before I even took office, I had spoke to the drug court commissioner. And it was a simple thing. He says to me, he goes, you know, statistics show that when we have a prosecutor there during our drug court meetings, that the rate of success goes up astronomically. And I guess, well, basically the idea is, well, we'll give you a chance, we're gonna send you to drug court, and you're gonna follow their rules, and they're rather nice to you over in drug court, they're gonna try and work with you. But you see that guy over there?
The scare factor.
That's what's gonna happen if you decide you wanna play games with us.
Yeah.
I believe it works. I don't have any statistics myself to see how our programs work on it, but it certainly makes a lot of sense that, you know, you can go from, well, we're trying to work with you, but if you don't work with you, the guy sitting over there is ready to go ahead and send you to prison.
And will that be the first time this person has seen the prosecuting attorney's office?
The defendants?
Yes.
They may see us in court because
Before the drug court?
before the drug court, you know, we're the ones that refer them to drug court, so they don't get there until we say it's okay. And we don't refer just any cases, we send the cases that we think drug court will accept, which they usually want to take first-time offenders. We'll take cases that even though they may not be first-time offenders, if they've shown that they're kind of got some way they could redeem themselves, or, you know, they may be open to some sort of treatment.
Yeah.
The idea again is if we get them into that system, that they won't reoffend when they come back out. We're giving them a final chance, because otherwise they know that they could be going to prison for a very long time because they are repeat offenders to a certain degree. But they're not the ones that are hardcore violent ones. We don't send violent offenders to drug court. We don't send sex offenders to drug court. It is usually a possession amount of case. They don't even send drug dealers to drug court. We have certain policies of who they will or will not accept it. And they may have their policies, but we have ours too. And ours may be a little bit more stringent than theirs as far as who I think may be worthwhile. As a prosecutor, my first inclination is always prosecute them, send them to prison, call it a day. Drug court is the alternative that actually probably has a more long-term effect of cutting down on recidivism.
So you do see a positive effect on drug court on this population?
I think it does. I mean, I certainly am very aware of the drug court failures. I can look at Facebook and see somebody who just graduated from drug court and goes out and celebrating the wrong way. But the vast majority of them I've seen where they're coming out seem pretty appreciative, and numbers of people we see reoffending after drug court is significantly lower than the population of ones we just simply sent to probation.
So the recidivism, that's hard to say, is lower for successful people out of drug court?
It does. And again, we're trying to cut down the number of cases. So basically trying to cut down the work for the entire community, but the number of cases also, the number of times that our community is exposed to the violent offenders, or the violence that comes with drugs. So anything that cuts that down is a good step.
Yeah.
And it's not in our usual course of prosecute a crime, go to jail. But if it cuts down on the number of times we have to prosecute you, and the parole system being such that I send you to prison on a 7-year sentence, I'll see you in about 6 months. That doesn't get me very far.
Yeah.
I mean, all you've done is you've gone to prison, you spent more time around other drug dealers, great, and then you're getting back on the streets. Again, that's one of the ideas to reduce the workload. Likewise, and fairly recently, and then some commissioners attended, we went to that Sims workshop, which is addressing the problem of mental health system. In that we have offenders that are clearly have mental health problems and may have something else that gets them in trouble with the law. We have offenders who may have small mental health problems, and law enforcement is addressing that, but then it escalates. The idea of the Sims workshop that we went through is to really give a comprehensive community approach to it. It's where you were addressing the mental health concerns from the street level officer all the way up through the jailer. We're bringing in mental health experts to the jail, bringing in mental health experts and referrals outside. These serve a couple purposes. Number one, you reduce the likelihood that it's going to escalate to a major crime. But a lot of times, like I said before, I'll get somebody who's committed an offense that I may normally be very interested in sending them to prison for. And that may be an example we came up with, some assault on a law enforcement officer. Now, the officer wasn't very seriously injured, but still, anytime you lay a hand on an officer in this county, I take it very, very seriously. The most I could ever get for this particular offender would have been, because he really had no other felonies, would have been 4 years in prison. I tried to take back. It was somewhere around 4 years for the guy resisting arrest, not assault. Well, that's great. As I explained with parole, in 4 years in prison, I'm going to send him in for about 2-3 months over the parole. They'll get his name and his address, and they'll release him. If he's not getting any mental health treatment, he's going to release, and then he's going to come back out, and again, he's going to be the same threat to that same officer. So if there is a way I can still keep him, I can control him with my criminal justice system, but at the same time, make sure that he's getting the mental health treatment he needs, I'm going to, basically work for the safety of these officers and the safety of the rest of our community. Even though it would be, again, my normal track of what I would normally do is you're going to jail, you're going to prison. Because I'm reducing the amount of time, I'm also reducing the likelihood that it's going to escalate. And again, that's the overall goal. It's not my win-loss rate, it's cutting down the amount of crime that we have and increasing the safety for our community.
How much, I've lost my thought there, having a Biden moment. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Well, essentially, that was what I wanted to report on. We got ourselves on track. We seem to be at or close where we have been in the past, starting off from only 2 all the way to, too many of the warriors we needed to address these problems, and expanding out into other programs and systems that will, generally reduce the amount of crime that we have to deal with.
Okay. Another topic at the end of your comment. Both Mike and you have mentioned SIMS. And I think we need to talk more about SIMS, what it is, who it is, what the purpose is. Mike, you want to weigh in on this with him, or?
Oh, no. I can never remember. SIMS is a sequential intercept mapping is what SIMS stands for. And basically it's mapping out organizations within the county that can assist individuals with substance use disorder, mental health, and or homeless. Of course, the homeless, they want to be helped. You run into a lot of them that just enjoy living that way, and that's their preference. So that's what SIMS is bringing organizations within our county, and even finding organizations outside our county that we can bring in to help us assist with rehabilitations, mental health, medication, treatments, and things of that nature. That's basically what SIMS is. It's mapping everything that you have and the resources in your county to help the individuals that want it.
So it coordinates all of these groups of peoples in our county, and like we said before, probably 85 people there.
Right. SIMS isn't an organization in itself. It's something that we put together. Excuse me. It's something that we put together as a county, and the different entities within our county put it together. So not an organization, it's just us putting it together, it's just a name for it.
The resources available.
Right.
Big
You know,
giant-
and at this meeting, and like I said, it's probably one of the better meetings I've been to.
Yeah.
It's not only, there's private business involved.
Yes.
The judges, the prosecutors, the mental health, it's really a great organization, because it's everybody in the county. And then what they did is, like Mike said, they went in to bust it out in groups, and they specialize in their groups and come up with answers how to treat this. And it's really, I think everybody's really looking forward to see how it works.
Yeah, there was one group in the county that was over housing, affordable housing, get people into how, residents or some kind of housing that are homeless, facilitating transportation for people that can't get to their appointments for mental health or substance use
Or to work.
or counseling or work. Of course, there was a group for the sheriff's department to put together, hopefully the jail navigator that we're looking at. So, out of those 85, I think we had a half dozen groups that broke into areas to pinpoint certain things that we could work on, and then all those groups collaborate back together and say, I have this resource, and this resource.
Yeah.
I'll take that resource because I need it.
Yeah.
And it's just information sharing, and then of course helping, and people giving up their own resources or either giving a break on treatment, expenses and things of that nature. Getting people who are not on Medicaid or Medicare signed up for it and getting them the medical insurance that they don't have, that they qualify for as well.
In the old days, if one of your deputies arrested somebody, all he could do is take him to jail, even though that's probably the last place he needed to be.
Right.
So the ultimate goal in this is to give him some other viable place to take that person. Is that the way you see it? Or will they'll still go to jail for booking, I guess?
If they committed a crime where it's a 12-hour hold because they're intoxicated,
Yeah.
be it alcohol or narcotics, they'll still go to jail. But while there, then that's what the jail navigator is for, because then they'll get the assessment and then they'll find the placement or resources for them prior to them leaving.
Hopefully in that 12 hours.
I attended
That'd be a
that,
quick turnaround, but yes.
I attended that sim mapping also, and I think, wasn't the main goal of that is to build the collaboration of resources to
Yes.
try and help these people that are repeatedly going through the court system to find a way to keep them from repeated offenders and stuff as well, and getting them the resources set up
Yes.
to help them succeed at that.
It's not just for detainees at the detention center. I mean, it's for anybody in the county that needs it.
Yes.
We'll go on a call and we'll be on a call and the individual has mental health issues, but yet they're not being treated. We can send either another officer out there, which would be a peer support officer that we're looking at, and then they'll set them up with the resources as well. We'll get their names and we can do a referral to, which is a CIT referral, crisis intervention training, and we can do a referral to CIT, and then BJC or Jennifer Beard will make contact with them and get them the resources as well. So it's not just for detainees, it's for anybody in the county that we feel that we come in contact with. Can you actually utilize these resources that we'll have?
And that's what was great about the meeting, that if you will, is what we used to do training. It's a giant toolbox full of resources that you can pull out. You can pull out an officer, somebody sort of runs it. They can pull out and use that resource instead of sending them straight to the jail where that's the biggest mental health center that we've got in the county. So,
The main thing, with that toolbox,
Yes.
you had all these different organizations, they said about 85 or so, maybe even more people. And a lot of them were not aware of what resources that the different
Exactly.
departments would have had. And they went, oh, so you can help us with transportation. Well,
Yes.
and that might help me get him from the scene with transportation. So just by the fact they were all communicating, they could at least see what was available. And of course, the mapping is kind of really setting forth of how we can work through, use all these different resources in a straight line to get the assistance.
Yeah.
And again, from our side of it, obviously, reduction of recidivism and safety for the community, because as Mike said, I send a guy over to jail and he's getting sent for a 12-hour commitment, and that's fine. He's on drugs, he detoxes, and he's great. But if his problem is mental health, he's gonna go out on it, he's gonna be released, there's nothing they can keep him any longer than that. He's had nothing to address the underlying problem, and we'll see him shortly thereafter.
Okay, any other questions to Blake?
Thank you, Blake.
And I can't talk about Sims without mentioning Bryce Seacrest.
No.
He's done a great job on that. Now, he's changing judgeships. Will he still stay in that position? Okay.
That's a question for Judge.
Okay. I didn't know how that was
I'm guessing that
assigned.
he probably is going to.
Yeah.
I haven't heard, I know we have our next meeting, the 28th of October in reference to the people that were in the group for the detention center. I would assume.
Personally, did you learn anything at Sims about other places you could get help with your
Yes.
detainees?
Yeah.
So it helped you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it did.
It was so neat to see like light bulbs going on because people like from the BJC group and who we were sitting by, Vanessa, they were like, I didn't know I could use them too. So those other entities and there are other, people that help could use the one sitting next to them and they didn't even know that they had that choice. So that was awesome.
Okay. Yes, Dan?
Just, let you know, when talking to Bryson, he, will probably stay involved with that. He wanted to, it was kind of partially his brainchild got this thing started, and, just because he's going to be circuit judge doesn't mean that he can't still be a part of it, and he wants to.
Well, he was an outstanding leader.
Yes.
No doubt. Okay, any other questions for Blake?
I'll ask the question, did you want to publicly declare if you're interested in the open judge position?
Well, I can publicly declare that I am not interested in that position.
Well, I want to say, you told me that.
Right.
I appreciate that. He's got an opportunity, probably would have an inside track at the judge position, but he's devoted to the prosecuting position and the stability of that position. I think it's of great importance to this county. And we, from the human resource, we appreciate not having the turnover every few weeks because that's a.
That was one of my great
We appreciate,
accomplishments.
you're doing a great job, and I appreciate the fact that you want to stay in that position.
Yeah, like I said, I was aware that this was a possibility probably even before I even took office. I chose this office. We built this office, we got a good team. There's no way I'm walking away from that.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Well, I'm happy about that because if I go before a judge and I look up there and the prosecuting attorney is now the judge, I wouldn't feel too good about that, so. Okay, any other departmental reports?
We've got the election coming up in 11 weeks. Next week, they're going to set the ballot. There's already 3 statewide initiative petitions on the ballot, and it will be set next week, and then just in a matter of 4 weeks, we will start voting again.
When is the deadline for that initiative petition?
Next week, when
Next week.
they certify
Okay.
the.
Okay, any other departmental reports?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.